lackadaisical monster. He took in a breath of nostalgia, realizing immediately that it was the wrong thing to do. He discarded the Nike trainer, the key route to the problem, onto an unused chair and took hold of Josh's heel and gave it a solid shake. "Josh?" He spoke loudly, but his voice sounded deadened in the clothes-padded confines of the room. There was not one twitch of movement from his son's body. "It's time to get up." He grabbed hold of Josh's ankles and dragged him forcefully down the bed, away from the protection of the pillow. With his body now bent over the edge of the bed, Dan found the target too tempting to ignore and finished off the awakening process by delivering a short, sharp slap to his son's bare buttocks. Josh turned his head slowly, his long, dark curls falling across bleary eyes. "What time is it?" 12:10. Josh groaned. "But my shift doesn't start until 7 o'clock tonight. I don't have to get up yet." "Oh, yes, you do, mate. There's more to life than sticking cans of baked beans on a shelf and head-banging in a bloody club all night." "Like what?" "Like getting this room tidied up for a start." It had happened exactly 1 month and 2 days after he lost his job. At the precise moment when the first news report broke on the radio, he had been standing in the kitchen making himself a mug of instant coffee to accompany his lunchtime sandwich. He remembered that he held the spoon brimming with coffee granules hovering above the mug, frozen in his actions as he listened to the broadcast. By the time that the reporter had signed off, promising to keep listeners up to date with news as it broke, and the incongruously light-hearted music had started once again, only 2 minute coffee granules had fallen into the base of the mug. In the plethora of reports that filled the newspapers for the next 2 weeks, it became clear that others throughout the world had also remembered exactly what they were doing, down to the last detail. He had immediately turned on the television and watched transfixed at the scenes that were being beamed live from New York. He knew the building so well. He had been in it so many times before, but still he found it impossible to orientate himself, to tell from the shaking street-level camera shots which tower had actually been hit. When he eventually realized that the one that housed the headquarters of the company for which he had worked for 15 years still stood, apparently unscathed, he felt a moment's selfish relief that his colleagues would be all right and that they would be able to escape. It could only have been a moment, because as he stood there no more than 3 feet away from the television screen, he watched in horror as the second aircraft hit the surviving tower. Once he had managed to break himself away from the mesmeric images of utter catastrophe, he tried to call his old office in the city. The lines were jammed. He then tried Nick Jessup, an ex-colleague who had coincidentally lost his job at the same time as himself. The domestic help informed him that Mr. Jessup had taken his baby son for a walk. At first, Dan couldn't believe that Nick was able to carry on with such a normal everyday routine when 20 minutes before an occurrence had taken place that was destined to change the world forever. And then he realized that it had only happened 20 minutes ago and that Nick wouldn't even know about it. He told the woman to get Nick to turn on the television as soon as he arrived back in the house. He was now desperate to speak to someone that he knew, someone that he cared about. So he rang Jackie. The receptionist told him that his wife was in a finance meeting and didn't want to be disturbed. And then he had remembered that Josh was upstairs in bed. He rushed up the staircase and entered his bedroom with such force that Josh had awoken immediately. They had sat on the sofa together for the rest of the afternoon watching the television. They never spoke, except to murmur an occasional expletive at the sheer magnitude of the devastation. Dan tried on a number of occasions to contact his old office in the city, but still the lines remained busy. He had never felt so helplessly out of touch in all his life. When the newspapers eventually managed to compile lists of those who were missing, believed killed, he had counted 8 close colleagues and 3 others whom he had met on a couple of occasions. John Fricker had